Good evening, all, from wherever you are joining us. Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago's 7th Annual Women's Entrepreneurship Day event, titled Building a 21st Century Business, a Woman's Entrepreneur's Journey, presented to you by BPD Associates Limited. This year, WEDTT focuses on different aspects of the 21st century woman entrepreneur's journey, including self-care and digital technology, in order to support you on your amazing race to entrepreneurial freedom. To all our guests, we welcome you. Enjoy the event.
Good evening, all, and welcome again to Trinidad and Tobago's Women's Entrepreneurship Day event, presented by BPD Associates Limited. My name is Abiel Thomas, the Business Coordinator at BPD Associates Limited and the event coordinator for this evening's event. We are honored that you are all here with us to celebrate Women's Entrepreneurship Day, also known as WED. WED, which is celebrated in over 144 countries, supports and empowers women like yourselves worldwide. WED 2021 will officially be celebrated globally tomorrow, Friday, 19th of November. As we join this global initiative, our goal is to engage and encourage women entrepreneurs to be bold, brave, and innovative as they utilize technology to increase business productivity and stay ahead in an ever-changing business world. Hence, this year, our theme is Building a 21st Century Business, a Woman Entrepreneur's Journey. For women-owned 21st century businesses to thrive, be sustainable, and successful, we as women entrepreneurs need to focus not only on developing our businesses, but also on taking care of ourselves. And to be honest, this is often an area where we fall short. That's why this year we decided to focus on you, the woman behind the business. This year, we join a conversation with 3 fantastic women entrepreneurs who will share their experiences and insights as a 21st century woman entrepreneur in order to inspire and motivate you as you thrive on your entrepreneurial journey. At BPD, we are passionate about supporting women entrepreneurs on their amazing race to entrepreneurial freedom. But not only women entrepreneurs, we also provide business and people developmental support to corporations and career professionals. Our mission is to support you to live your lives by desire and design rather than default, so you can achieve your vision of freedom. One of our favorite quotes is, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve," by Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich. So, as you join the conversation this evening, we encourage you to be motivated and believe that you can achieve all your personal and business goals, and that this is just the first step to getting there. But 1 minute before we jump in, just a few housekeeping points. Firstly, this is a live event and it's being recorded. There are members of the BPD team on both platforms, YouTube and Facebook, ready to facilitate your questions and comments. So please feel free to interact with each other and us in your chat boxes. We also ask, if you have a question for us, please type Q or question before your question so that we can easily identify them from the other comments. Your selected questions will be displayed on the screen. If for some reason, however, we are unable to get to your question during this session, please feel free to email us and a member of our team will respond to you as soon as we can. And last but not least, enjoy the event. Thank you. Now, let's jump right in. I would like to start off by introducing you to our WED ambassador, Georgina Terry. So Georgina Terry, WEDTT ambassador, she's the founder and managing director of Business and People Development Associates Limited, Passion to Profitability expert, coach facilitator, author of The Amazing Race, qualified accountant, coach, change management consultant, trainer, facilitator, local and international inspirational speaker, including TEDx, author of the Amazon best-selling book, The Amazing Race to Entrepreneurial Freedom. So without further ado, I present Georgina Terry.
Good evening, everyone. Celebrating Women Entrepreneurship Day in Trinidad and Tobago. I really wanted to thank everyone for being here. I never like to take it for granted when people join our events, because there's so much going on in your lives. You could be anywhere, but you've chosen to be with us this evening. So I feel really honored. So I'm excited that you're here. This is our seventh year as hosting Women Entrepreneurship Day for Trinidad and Tobago. And it's just an exciting time today. I'm overjoyed. So just a little bit about WED, or Women Entrepreneurship Day, if you're not familiar. Women Entrepreneurship Day was founded in 2013 as a non-governmental, non-racial, non-gender, non-political volunteer non-profit organization. It was founded by Wendy Diamond to empower, celebrate, and support women in the business worldwide. Wendy, recognizing the fact that women performed 66% of the world's work, yet only earned 10% of the world's income, and at the same time, women account for 85% of consumer purchases, and we control $20 trillion in worldwide spending. Wendy was inspired to create a simplified movement in the world to empower women in business to alleviate poverty. That's the real purpose of Women Entrepreneurship Day. The movement is established to bring awareness to 250 million girls living in poverty globally that deserve to be given a chance in life, while simultaneously inspiring and empowering the 4 billion women on this planet. WED works globally to empower women and girls to become active participants in the economy by igniting a network of women leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs to initiate startups, drive economic expansion, and advance communities around the world. In order to achieve this ambitious goal, WED builds and catalyzes the virtual networks of like-minded individuals and organizations that women business leaders need in order to realize their full potential and change the world. Yes, that's for us to change the world. WED has been extensively covered by global media outlets like Mercedes, Forbes, and Fox News. And as Abiel said, WED is celebrated in 144 countries globally across the world. Now, this year's Women Entrepreneurship Day, Trinidad and Tobago, our topic is building a 21st century, a woman's entrepreneur's journey. This year, we wanted not just to focus on business, but also to focus on the amazing woman and women behind the business. We are focusing on self-care, the entrepreneurial journey, and of course, because we're in the technology era, we've included technology journey. When I conducted my research for my TEDx talk on how to remain relevant with the rise of technology, my eyes were really widely opened that if we did not upskill ourselves, we would truly become irrelevant. I heard something the other day that if you're at the front of the line, but you don't move, eventually we'll be at the back. So even if we've got thriving businesses or thriving careers, if we're not advancing ourselves, we will eventually end up at the back of the line. At BPD, we support all corporations, career professionals, women entrepreneurs to get unstuck so they can get in front of the line and stay in front of the line. So to this year, as we said, it's self-care, entrepreneurial journey, and a technology journey. And why these topics, and why we focused on the woman behind the business? As women entrepreneurs, we spend so much time focused on a business, but do we put ourselves on our to-do list? And a lot of our clients, be they our mastermind clients or our one-to-one coaching clients, realize that they spend so much time on the business and other aspects, they don't think about themselves. And I have to be honest, I am guilty of that myself. Even today, when I was in the office, I was in the kitchen just getting a cup of coffee. And when I was leaving, there was another woman in the kitchen, and I held the door open for her. And she said, "Oh, that's okay, you can go through." So I went through, and as I turned around and looked back, she was contorting herself by sticking her foot in the door, stretching herself to try and reach the table to pick up her lunch. And I turned around and I held the door for her, and she said, "It's okay." And I said, it's okay to receive support. And I think that's just so typical, that we don't allow ourselves to receive support, even when it's offered to us. I'm sure that many of you can relate to that. So we really wanted to focus on the woman that's driving the business. The entrepreneurial journey is not an easy one. And a lot of times we see the kind of the glamour and the support and the glitz, and everyone kind of gives that happy face and success, because that's what we show. But here for Women Entrepreneurship Day, Trinidad and Tobago 2021, we wanted to show the kind of like the full story. There are times when we start this journey, and I'll share, I like to be transparent. There's times on this journey, I've been an entrepreneur now for 14 years. There's times I've cried, several times I've cried. Back in 2008, 2009, when we had the economic crash, I wasn't sure if I was going to keep my business. Everything dried up. I lost confidence in myself. I lost confidence in business. That's part of this journey. But that piece is that we have this resilience as women entrepreneurs, as women, to keep going and keep moving forward. So we really want this year to share that, to share the whole story, the self-care, the entrepreneurial walk, as well as the technology, because all of those three are come together to support the 21st century business owner. In entrepreneurship, there's so many aspects. There's marketing, there's sales, there's the operations, and we have to manage all of that, as well as look after ourselves. And if we have extended families, do that too. And so we wanted to really bring the woman to the fore, to talk about, when we have our session today, we really kind of keeping it so it's really conversational and really have a real conversation. Our idea initially would have loved to have, all together, sitting on a couch having a conversation. But I suppose this in the 21st century is the way to do that. So we really want people that are here viewing with us today to really be inspired, hear the stories, because I'm sure many of you on your journey, if you are entrepreneurs, have had times when you're feeling stuck, feeling lonely, feeling unsure. And we want to show you that we've got 3 phenomenal women who have businesses, and they're going to share their journey, share how they keep themselves going, share how they've introduced technology into their business, so that you can see a blueprint of what you can do, or at least take pieces to allow you to prosper as you go along that journey. So I'm really excited to have them, and really want you to take away some real nuggets that can help you. And also for the women who are here who don't have businesses but are thinking about starting and want to get going, to use the information you hear today to get you going, to get you excited, to get you moving. As I said, on the road to entrepreneurship isn't an easy one, but I tell you this now, it really is worth it. And so we want to really support all of you in inspiring you to take that next step, whatever that next step is, next step of growth, next step to start a business, next step to take on a new employee, next step to take on the world. We really want to plant that seed and support you along the way. And throughout our event, we'll also share with you some actions would like you to take. Because in any of our events, we want you, yes, to listen to what's being said, but that's just a piece of it. We want each of you, and we'll talk about this a bit later on, to take something from today and decide on something you hear today that you want to take into your future, and make a commitment to yourself and follow that through, so you can be richer. We can richer and step forward into the future with something from today. So allow that to live on. As we say in our events, all things, you can listen to loads of things, but really, how do you take them and make them real? Take an action from today and put that into your future. So I'm going to start talking now so we can move on with the event, because anyone who knows me, I could talk for the whole 2 hours. So again, I just want to say thank you for being here today and allowing us to celebrate Women Entrepreneurship Day 2022 Trinidad and Tobago with you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we are going to have a giveaway courtesy Sydney Joseph Social Media Management. Going to do a spin the wheel. And our winner is Quinn. So Quinn, what I want you to do, if you are here, can you just comment in the chat, depending on whatever platform you are on, and just say yes here, winner, something, and I will see it pop up. And if you are not here, then I will unfortunately have to spin again to see who won this lovely voucher, this gift voucher from Sydney Joseph Social Media Management. So I'm just going to give Quinn 2 seconds to, let me see if she pops up. Can she pop up? No, 3, 2. Okay. Going again. And the winner again, hopefully she is here and she will say yes. Patrice Matthews. Is Patrice here? Is Patrice here with us? Let's hope. No, 3, 2. Is Patrice gonna comment? No. Okay, going again. Oh, Patrice is here. Wait, stop. What? Back it up. Okay, sorry. I'll just do 2 one time. Patrice, thank you. I'll tell you what you won just now. And Jessica Woods, are you here with us? Yeah? Is Jessica Woods here with us? Yes, Patrice is here. Thank you, Krista. Thank you, Patrice. Yeah, Jessica Woods going once, going twice. Okay, so Patrice, you won a social media revamp from Sydney Joseph Social Media Management, sorry. Sydney Joseph, she is known as the ads manager magician. She runs a company which specializes in supporting fellow business owners to achieve their marketing goals. This is done through maximizing their digital presence and came about due to her love of human communication in the digital space. So, Patrice Matthews, you won a lovely gift voucher from Sydney Joseph, and I'll do another draw later. So, congratulations, Patrice. Thank you. Okay, so now I am handing you over to Georgina and Natacha.
Yay! Tasha's here.
I'm here.
Okay, so this is the piece I'm sure you've all been waiting for. So where Tasha and I are gonna be speaking with 3 wonderful women. But before get into that, I'm gonna just share who Natacha Jones is, other than being a great friend of mine and a great support, always.
Happy to be.
So Natacha Jones, media extraordinaire. Natacha Jones has worked in the media industry for over 30 years. She does not look like that. And has been in numerous stage and television productions in front and behind the camera, as a host, actress, writer, producer, camera person, and director. She's a graduate of Brook University, Canada, majoring in film. She has worked in television production and print media and has immersed herself in radio production, focusing on human interest issues, especially those related to women and children, having developed her weekly radio program, Every Woman, which can be heard on Heartbeat 104.1, Radio for Women and the Men Who Love Them. She produces her coconut oil body blend under her label Natural Joy and is presently working on a television production crime drama, Plain Sight, which is a project aimed for international viewing, produced by Westwood Park and The Reef, director-producer Danielle Defentala. So, Natacha.
Thank you so much. That's very formal. Hi, folks. So happy to be here to celebrate, the Women's Entrepreneurship Day 2021.
Yes, indeed.
It's exciting. And Patrice Matthews, I nearly took your prize, huh? So I'm really excited to dive in, as you probably all are, to celebrate these trailblazing women and ask them these questions that hopefully will inspire you by the end of the evening to, continue to feel enlivened. Because I think during this period of time, this COVID time, a lot of us lost some wind. And these three ladies, I can tell you, will help you to put that wind back in your sail. So we're looking forward to that.
Wonderful. So these three women we're talking about, and I'm sure the fact that you're here, you've seen the many posts on social media who we have. We have Catherine Nurse, owner of Immature Beauty, looking fabulous as usual.
Hi, Catherine.
We have Rachel Renee from D-Market Movers, co-founder of D-Market Movers. And we have Sarah Bernard, founder and managing director of Smart Kids. So thank you. First, I want to say thank you for being here and celebrating with us for Women Entrepreneurship Day. You're all busy, but yet you've taken time out to be with us this evening, which we really appreciate.
Yes. And to share your story with us.
Yes.
With all of us.
So we're just going to start first. This is kind of an opening question. And this is really for each of you. Then, what business are you in? How long have you been in business? And why did you start your business? So first, we'll start with you, Catherine.
So my business is called Immortal Beauty, as you said. I have been in business for 10 to 11 years now. The business is in, I'm thinking of my elevator pitch, Georgina, that's what I'm thinking of. I make little local luxuries. So we focus on bath and body products and home fragrance products that are all made locally in Trinidad, but can rival the most impressive international brands. And we really want people to feel pride in the products that are made in Trinidad and Tobago. Why did I start the business? To be 100% honest, I was living in the States. I was working in the States and I was really homesick, but I didn't know how I was going to take my career in cosmetic formulation into a career in Trinidad. So I decided to start my own business to kind of chart my own course when I came home.
Nice. Okay, so let's ask Rachel the same question. What business are you in? Let our people know. And how long have you been in the business? And what was the impetus behind the business?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Rachel Rennie from Market Movers Limited. I'm in food and technology. Market Movers is an online delivery service of greengrocer items. And that sounds like the basic part of it. But I'm really my passion is preserving the Caribbean way of life, but through food. So I guess Catherine might be doing it through beauty and cosmetic products, but I am trying to do that through food. So everything I do is around local food, local agriculture, but integrating technology so that persons can access the best foods, but in the most convenient way. I started in 2009, which is a really long time ago. I added up the years, but I feel like it started even before 2009. It was even before that. So I would say really I've been an entrepreneur for about 15 years. And the reason for doing it is I think I realized that the biggest indicator to my mood and anything in life is food. You know, when people say you're hungry and all that stuff, eating good foods makes a difference. It impacts the person eating it and everyone around them. So that's really the the who I am and why I'm doing it kind of message.
Great.
Okay, so Sarah, share with us, what business you're in, how long have you been in business, and why did you start your business?
So before I start, you all know me. Before I start, I want to say that maybe about 5 years ago, I'm trying to place it exactly. I was still working at the time, my full-time job, and I can't remember if I started Smart Kids yet. I drove from Point Fortin all the way up to Port of Spain to the Marriott to come watch Rachel Rennie at the WED event held by BPTT. I was up there with my notebook and talking about how she was blogging on Sunday evening. Listen, I was there like, I'm going to be just like her. Listen, so I just want to say that it's a privilege to be here today. So I had to start with that, right? It's an honor to be here. So I am Sarah Bernard, the founder of Smart Kids. We've started back in 5 years. It's officially like 5 years now this month. And we're the number one tech camp in Trinidad and Tobago. And we teach kids STEM and coding. Right? Kids all the way from 2.5 years to 17 years old.
You all are flying the Trinbagonian flag. You all have decided to use what we have and enhance it and make businesses out of it. In talking to Georgina as we were preparing this, I was curious to know that we celebrate Women's Entrepreneurship Day. Any of you, do you find that there's a difference between a male entrepreneur and a female? Have you found that you've had more challenges than others? Is there a reason that we celebrate the female experience over the male experience? Or could we just decide that we want to be just entrepreneurs? Who wants to take that? Well, you know something, Sarah, you've also been in a predominantly male environment, so maybe you should take it.
Yeah, so one thing I can tell you, male entrepreneurs are much bolder. They're bold-faced, right? They're bold-faced. Men, and this is something that we should learn from. Men, they fluff things up. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they could make, their little. So I'll hear them share about their business to me, and I'll be like, okay, you mean a pet store? You know what I mean? But I mean, like the way they say it, it was like revolutionary. You know what I mean? Right? But we are way more trepidatious. I hope I'm using that word correctly. If my mom heard me use the word incorrectly, she would be like, "Oh my God, this is why we need Latin in schools." But anyway, so I think it's trepidatious. So we really don't. We don't sell ourselves well. Just, and of course I am generalizing here, right? And if it's one thing I am good at is selling myself and accurately depicting my accomplishments. And that is something that I learned over time. There's a way that women speak, right, just naturally. So instead of saying, if you know something, for example, right, we tend to say, yeah, well, I think what we should do, and because of the world I worked, I realized when I was speaking to my boss like that, he just wouldn't recognize that I was recommending something. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I had to change how I spoke. And so I think it's more about learning to believe in ourselves and speak accurately about our accomplishments and what we set out to achieve. And finally, one last thing is that women feel that we need to grow, we need to know everything, You know what I mean? We need to know everything
Yeah.
before we step out. But really,
Yes.
you don't, right? And you know that bravery that men have. I mean, and y'all could. I mean, I'm generalizing here, so I'm not right. But that bravery that men have, um, naturally allows them to, like, they'll just go into a role. They feel they're ready, and you're like, but you're not ready. But they feel they're ready before they
Yes.
are. And
Yes.
and
Catherine
that's
is
a good
looking as
thing.
though you
I
have something to share here.
No, I'm like, it's literally what I was going to say. I was going to put this in different words. I definitely wasn't going to use a word like trepidatious. But I was gonna say that men speak first, whereas women try to act first and put their ducks in a row before they will feel confident enough to come out and speak. So, they will have put in 4 years of work and be like, well, I just have this little business on the side. Whereas men will have, written out something on a napkin for 4 hours and they'll be like, look at this plan that I
Yes,
have.
look at my business plan. Yes.
And I just 100% agree with Sarah that that needs to shift a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. I think so I have a male business partner. So I think the difference between men and women is the process. So for me and my partner, I mean, I feel like I lucked out in certain ways, but we always come to the same conclusion, but we take a completely different route to get to that answer. And I think we tend to argue about the process, and it's more about, okay, what's the goal? What's the actual end result? If I'm selling pets, then the goal is to sell, high quality pets to persons between the age of XYZ. But the man might say, well, we only need one cage. Or, the woman will be like, well, no, we actually think we need, and I think the process is where the difference tends to lie. And I took 10 years to figure that out. I wish I did sooner. But I think it's always the process and how the thought process that goes behind the end result. So
Great. Well, thanks for sharing. I want to shift this a little bit back to yourselves. We really want to hear your journey. So I'd like each of you to share what was the most significant milestone on your journey and the impact that had on you and your business. And I'm sure there were quite a few. Who'd like to start with that one?
All right. So I'm gonna jump in here. So guys, if you're, I learned from men. I told you, all right. So I don't stick, right. For me, it was when I won a trip to Tech Beach, right? Tech Beach. That was like around 2018. That was a big deal because if you haven't heard of Tech Beach Retreat and what they're doing, basically, it's, they bring together annually people from Silicon Valley and so on to network and learn from these people, and it's entrepreneurs and people in the tech world that are coming there. And it was actually the IDB, who I think is a sponsor of this event. The IDB and the Ministry of Planning and Development, they sponsored that, right? And Kyle Maloney is one of the geniuses behind that. What I got from that really was a network. And that network, because of the cohort of other tech entrepreneurs that I met there, thanks to that network, my business have grown. I've gotten into different ventures that I'm really excited about. You just learn, so your learning curve basically is just shortened when you have the right network. And I also linked up with a mentor, Larry Hercules, who's the CTO of Smart Warehouse, so a Trini who's doing really big things in Silicon Valley, well, Texas now, but same thing. So the point is that opportunities like those for entrepreneurs, so I'm saying this to IDB and the Ministry of Planning, if you're listening, these things, thank you, and they are game changers, and I hope they continue.
Great.
Rachel?
Well, I think most recently, like COVID-19 has there's nothing that has shook my business as much as this pandemic. I've been through breakups during everything possible. My business partner was my actual partner. I've been through, I think, everything, but this pandemic has sort of shook everything, and I think it validated the businesses that were really passionate about what they're doing. It shook this tree, and you saw the businesses that just sort of drop off, or like, well, COVID, so and I'm just like, well, COVID, what can we do around that? So I think COVID-19 was one of the biggest significant milestones for me thus far. And I think that's the exciting part about being an entrepreneur, that I thought all these other milestones were it. But there's always something else that can come around the corner and really change your business. But the impact was basically that we grew overnight. And I say that because we've always been ahead of technology. And in one night, we woke up with more orders that we do in 3 to 5 months, so it and I'm not saying that we made money, but it immediately showed all the holes in our business, everything that worked and everything that didn't work. And when you scale to that exponentially, you right away, you see everything that you're doing wrong, or all the gaps. And I think COVID-19, for me personally, right now, that was the biggest milestone. And I hope that's the biggest shift. But at the same time, I'm excited to see what else could possibly happen to my business.
Great. And what about you, Catherine?
So I think for every entrepreneur, you have your external and your internal milestones. The ones that you look back that other people might not be able to see, that were kind of big turning points for you. So for example, for an external one, we just reopened our store. The store has my office space is now attached to it. That's a huge milestone for me, which means that I've been able to take my work out of my house, now have a separate space for work and a separate space for home. So whereas there's the external thing where people can see they can now come to a new location and it looks so beautiful, there's a mental health milestone that's been reached for me that people can't see, which is that now I have a place to go to work and a place to go to rest. And that's a huge thing for me. And then another thing that I have to say, not just because I'm here with Georgina, but I have to say that one of the biggest milestones for me in my business was recognizing how much I need coaching and kind of motivation every so often on the journey. Otherwise, I can tend to kind of fall to the side or let things fall to the side. So the point at which I realized that I needed coaching was a huge milestone internally for me as well, because I can see where the business, how the business has grown since then myself.
Okay. That's great. Well, I love these stories, and as we're still on the journey, and as we're celebrating WED, what about any specific sacrifices you think that you've made on this journey? I'm sure each of you have your own specific sacrifice you think you've made on this journey. I'm seeing Sandra smiling away. Sandra, you could take it away, girl. I mean, sorry, Sarah, you can take it away, girl.
I'll be Sandra for you, Natasha.
No. Okay. No, not since you have that pretty picture behind you. We'll go with Sarah.
So what's the question? Oh my God.
Have you made any sacrifices? You have two children.
Yeah.
You've decided to focus on children, your family.
Yeah.
But what specific sacrifices do you think you've made on this journey?
Yeah. So a financial sacrifice, right? I was working in the oil and gas industry. I was a team lead. And I'm very confident that I would have, gotten, moved up within, the past 3 years or something like that, or worst case 5 years. And we never wanted for money. You know what I mean? My husband also works in oil and gas, and I left in order to focus full time on my business, and as well as to be more flexible and available to my children. So it was a huge financial sacrifice, and actually still is, because we, definitely made more money there. But but it was a sacrifice that I wanted to take. So it was a no-brainer. I look back and it's not like I don't regret it or anything. It's just, sometimes it was super difficult, super difficult. And sometimes, as Georgina mentioned in the intro, sometimes, you just sit down and you're like, and you just like, and you just lose it. You just lose it, because it's not just me. My kids, I had to explain to my kids, like, and tell them, remember that trip to Disney we took? Yeah, remember it, right? Because that's it. It does it for a while, right? So just try and remember that, right? And actually, my son, he's 7 now, he doesn't remember it. So it's when you take that leap, right? It affects everyone else. It's not that it, and actually it was a strain. My husband, I put a financial burden on him now to you understand what, depression now on him. So yeah, that's a big sacrifice, but so worth it. I mean, when it's worth it. I'm not telling everybody to do this, and I want people to understand that when I tell that story, you have to understand that for 15 years we made good money. You know what I mean? So it's not like I left, for nothing. Well, first of all, I did get a payout, that helps, but I earned a lot of money first. You understand what I'm saying? So in order to take this leap, be able to invest in your business and know that it's a risk worth taking, right? So don't say just go and leave your job, right? There must be you understand what I'm saying? You must put a foundation there, I think, in order to take that leap.
Great. Thanks for sharing.
So for me, when I thought about this question, I was like, okay, what is a sacrifice really? Sacrifice is something that you give up and you miss, right? And so similarly, I feel like if I had stayed in the States working, I would have made more money. But what I have gotten so far outweighs that, and how unhappy I would have been that I don't consider it a real sacrifice. It would be nice to have more money for sure. But when I think about something that I have sacrificed, something that I cannot get back because of this business, it is Christmas. I don't get the Christmas experience that everybody else gets. I don't get to enjoy myself for Christmas. This year, I made a point to decorate my Christmas tree early before everything started to get crazy for the season. Otherwise, my Christmas tree is decorated maybe the 23rd of December if I am lucky.
You beat it.
I cannot do anything in the house, and Christmas is a season of work down to Christmas Eve. I am working. People call me Christmas Eve in the 5 p.m. What can you give me? What do you have left? And so if it's something I think that I have truly given up, that I love, it's Christmas.
Rachel.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I was thinking of the same question, and I didn't know, I really can't think of what did I miss out on, because I was in the bank before. So for me, it's like, ooh, I don't think I missed out on anything, sacrifice anything major. I think I had, for a long time, I thought I had to sacrifice my personal life, I guess. I thought that balancing your personal life, as in relationships with your partner, and I recently got married this year.
And tell the people who you got married to.
My wonderful husband, Sean Gonzalez,
was my business partner's friend.
Yeah, David actually introduced me to Sean for months. He would be like, "You need to meet this guy, Sean," and I'm like, "Whatever." But I think for a long time I thought you would have to sacrifice your personal life and spending time with someone, and I didn't feel like I could always give that to someone fairly. But that was the only part. But then, it happened this year, and now I'm just like, oh, it's just really finding the right person, I guess, who will understand what your business is about and what it is to run a business. But as Catherine said, I think holidays for sure, Easter, everything is just people literally will call you, do you have a pack of carrots? Like Christmas Eve. And I'm just like, what is your plan for Christmas? Like, why are you messaging me on Christmas Eve for carrots? So yeah, I think holidays for sure, and like a personal life. Yeah.
I just wanted to say thanks for sharing, Rachel and Catherine and Sarah. It's something that you've said that kind of brought back the question also Natacha said about being, a woman in business. And something you said, Rachel, about having the support around you. So a lot of times, people talk about being a woman in business and there are challenges to it. But part of it is also having a partner that really supports you on this journey, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's career. That's really important. I remember speaking to a friend, and she said one of the most biggest decisions you'll ever make in your life, financial or otherwise, is the partner you choose to have your life with. So a lot of the times, yes, this journey is hard, but it can be harder if we haven't got the support of the person with us. But I think it's also part of us, and maybe people might not like this, but making sure we choose wisely along this journey, because you're looking for partners along the way. So someone who shares the vision you have for your life, how you're going to support each other and be able to walk along, because that, I think, is truly important.
It is. And I'm talking to each of you the other day. It was also that you have your community, your village, your sisterhood that give you that support. When you want to escape, there's that. And there's always the people that would always give you that reassurance that you're not alone. So I always think, stick with your girlfriends, stick with your girlies, And also Catherine was talking about the mentorship program with you,
yes.
Having a masterclass where you have kindred spirits discussing the same issues and being able to keep each other accountable. I think that's also very important as well. I think we wanted to share some.
Yes, we've got some questions. Both Tasha and I are wearing glasses, so forgive us as we start peering into the screen.
So Indira Patel wants to say, what are some of the things you wished you knew sooner but learned later on in entrepreneurship? And how would it have benefited you? That's a great question. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things you wish you knew sooner but learned later on while you were an entrepreneur? And how did it benefit you?
I think
Rachel,
love your business, but don't fall in love with it. Like for the first 5 years of my business, I was like googly eyes over my business. I thought I had the best business model, the best idea out there. And it's like, you don't see the flaws when you're in love, right? You're just like, it's like the best thing ever. So like that, like separating your passion to understand that you're passionate about this thing, but you have to see its flaws. You have to see the gaps. And every time a customer would call or to complain, I would be like, they don't know what they're talking about. Or, and the truth is they do, because I'm servicing that person, right? So I think loving your business, so understanding your passion and being able to separate it so that it's your understanding what you're passionate about, but without clouding your judgment on, how the business is supposed to actually operate and service business.
Okay. Anyone else wants to deal with that?
For me, it's how to fail gracefully, to make mistakes gracefully, to not have to have everything be perfect and look perfect all the time, because that just slows you down. Because once you learn how to take the first few L's, the L's are going to keep on coming, but it's not going to stop you in the way that they would have stopped me early on in my business. So it's just, at this point in time, I'm very like, okay, that's fine, next. But that's something that I hadn't learned from, from primary school, from childhood. And so I had to learn it the hard way in the early years of my business.
Have you ever wanted to just throw in the towel though?
Gosh, yes, so many times. Like so many days, I'm just like, why don't I get a job? Why am I doing this? Sometimes I even, somebody asked me about my advice for starting a business. I was like, start a simple business, girl. Not gonna stock and products and inventory. Don't do that. Don't be like me. But I was obviously just joking. Like those are when you are having a hard day and a bad day, but I wouldn't do it any differently, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Okay,
me,
the next question we have from
but I
Sean
have,
Gonzalez.
you're not taking me on.
Oh, sorry, Sarah.
I just want to say
I
I'll be
love
quick. I'll be quick. I would say hire an accountant super early. Yeah. NIS, they will come for you. Right. I just want you to know that. They will come for you. All right, cool.
That's good advice.
Why is my husband texting?
Yes, I said it's Sean.
That is not a question.
It's not even a question. Mind you, he's cooking, prepping dinner right now, so I don't know how he have time to be texting. Get back in the kitchen.
Okay, I have one more question.
But Rachel, as we're teasing you about, you and Sean, but your partner, your business partner, David, y'all are still partners. What is that like now?
Well,
I'm sure better at this.
David is my best friend. I know people say your husband is supposed to be your best friend, but Sean is not my best friend. David is my best friend.
He's going to send another message about the shaking.
No, he knows this. He actually says that if he had to choose a friend, I would not be one because I don't like to hold things. And yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, David is I've known him since I was 16, right? So he sort of shaped a lot of my initial personality or person, I guess, in the beginning. But I think something that's been relevant in our relationship early on is we've always been really honest with each other. Even our breakup was the most honest, like, well, that's not working, right? Yeah, that's not really working. Okay, well, let's just stop it. Because, and we were like, this business thing, it seems more viable than the relationship. And we were really honest about it. So I think that relationship, it's built around trust. And I think in business, if you don't trust, even if you don't trust your customers, it's kind of scary. You have to have this wall of trust around you. From the person who's delivering your bananas to the person who's picking up their groceries at your store. We get fake credit cards. Trust is this vital part of my business and our business. So I think because that core foundation between David and myself, like he would flat out be like, I don't like this, or we will be really honest with each other. We may not agree, and I'll probably still do it anyway, but or he'll probably still try something in his own way. But I think that trust is really a big part of it. And I know that trust is, for me, it's somebody just authentically saying, this is what I do and this is what I want to share with you. And in business, I think we make it really complex. Like it has to be this big complex marketing and advertising. And it's like, oh no, I want you to just feel good. I want you to eat better. I want you to rub your skin and, feel like it's soft. I mean, Catherine helped my marriage a lot, I must say. No lie.
That's a real plug, Catherine, for Immortal Beauty.
Well, yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, even Sarah, like,
This could be you, ladies.
But I mean, all of it is just when you recognize it. And I was so excited when I saw the panel. It was just like authentic people, just authentically being themselves. And I think what Catherine was saying is that feeling like as a woman, you have to be this perfect and you have to present it this particular way. And, David would be like, just post it thing now. Like, just post it. And now that I've done that, it happens in the moment and being in the moment. When we get fresh pack joy, I post it up because next week we may not get fresh pack joy, and I think living in that moment and that trusting that, trusting the moment, I guess, so for sure, I that relationship. But I will say it's work, you have to work with that person for sure. But trust is a big part of it. If you don't trust yourself or who you're working with, like, don't even bother, personally.
Thanks so much for being so open.
And then trust really is a big thing, with relationships, but then also in business, especially when, you know, you think of when you start your business, it's a bit like, you know, having a child. You know, you could have this idea and then it starts to grow. And then as you start to grow, you need some support. And then there's wanting the trust, to have trust to help the business grow. So how did you get to a point where you felt comfortable enough to trust someone else in the business that wasn't part of the business ownership to actually start helping you grow your baby or nurture your baby? When did that happen, and how did you let go and trust?
Any day now.
That's the hardest thing.
Georgina and Sarah will know my struggles in this area. Because I've only just started to be fortunate enough actually to have people helping me every day in the business. But it's work, it's a challenge. Sarah, I have Sarah's voice in my head all the time. Because when I get frustrated, the voice comes in, is this me? Am I the problem? And that's really Sarah's voice to be like, because every time you come and complain about somebody working with you, Sarah will be like, but did you communicate that clearly? Did you do this? And so I've started to like think about that day to day, but it's a journey for me and I am not there yet.
And that's a very empowering statement as well, because the only power you have is to change your own mindset. So let's start with us first and see how we can adjust to make it work. You know, the goal is always to be like water. But I always think it's very difficult to let go and allow other people. I don't know when, Sarah, that you discovered that there's a point where you need that support and that you needed to get out of the way and allow your baby to go to someone else to help.
Yeah. So it was really easy for me. And I know that might sound weird, but it's because of where I came from. So I come from a multinational company. I come from a company of oil and gas where you have to work in teams. And so I learned early on that it's better to work with a team. And in fact, I'm super scared to work by myself. So, you know, it works out because I know, I mean, it's way better. So when I had my idea from my company, right, I was like, oh, I could do this with boy. You know, that was my first thought. And I was like, mom has a doctorate in education. Dad is a retired electrical and computing engineer. They have money. Let me hit them up. I said, guys, I have a pitch for y'all. Hayden, I told Hayden, here, look, babies. You stay there in the living room. I had my whole presentation to them. And I was like, y'all want in? All you'll have to do is put up half. That's all. Small thing, right? And I got help. You know what I mean? So the first thing was with my directors. And then once I left the company, so I think I left after I left the, you know, the company where I was working. So I started business while I was part-time. I think probably 2 years after, 3 years after, I can't place it properly. And I hired some, once I was going to work full-time, I was like, I'm not doing this by myself. I hired my first permanent employee. And in fact, for me to do my business, I needed teachers, right? My aim was not to teach. I teach because I had to, but I hired part-time teachers, right? And once I was going to work on my own, full-time, I hired a permanent employee. Things you get, first of all, delegating is the bomb. I'm like, what do I not want to do? If Kimberly's listening, she's like, yeah. What do I not want to do? Kimberly got a job for you. You know what I mean? And listen, that is so important because you get to focus. So, you know, I get to focus on certain things. Like, so for the first part of my first 5 years or first 4 years, it was really marketing, you know, that kind of curriculum development. That was the core of the business, and that's what I did. Unfortunately, I had to do accounting too, which, you know, until I got my head right and hired somebody who Georgina referred me to. Thank you very much. Shout out to Sarah Lizama. So, you know, delegating, but having a team around you is super important to your success. Yeah. I mean, if you look at any, I always tell people, you know, you look at any entrepreneur that is doing well, you know, like, I don't know, Elon Musk or whoever, Apple, whatever you want to look at, it's just like they didn't do it by themselves. It's a company, it's a whole team of
It's a
people.
whole team. You're right.
It is really important that you figure out a way to get that team. And now that I'm happy with how certain things are, like building a website, whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm ready to palm those things off now. Tell me. Now I'm just looking right now. It's just like a bucket list of palm off, palm off, palm off. Right? You know what I mean? So.
When now you're talking about that whole technological area, what is the great, how, or why is it important for an entrepreneur to really develop their technology skills? And that's, I know that all of you utilize that, and I know, Sarah, that is your baby.
Yeah, so it's not about developing technology skills. And I think it was Rachel that said earlier, what is it that we are trying to achieve here? Right? The technology is just a means, to get there. So it's not about, oh, let me go learn, how to do X or, no. It's like, what do I need to get? What's the best way to communicate to my customers? So once you figure that out, it's like, so for me, my mailing list is like everything, right? My mailing list is super important to me. So MailChimp is like my real horse, right? So I had to go research. Google is like your lifeline, guys, right? If you can't Google, you cannot survive, right? So, and YouTube, right? So you learn how to use these things so you can upskill in something by just watching a 20-minute video and being very serious and practicing, right? And when you don't know something, Google it. So it's not so much that it's important to learn technological skills. It's important to know how to learn, right? The number one skill right now is being able to learn and unlearn.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So once you focus on what it is that you have, the objective, then you'll figure out how to use the technology. And I tell people, it's not something to be, if you see me looking around, there's a giant mosquito inside here. So I'm like, oh my God, don't come close.
It's coming for the flowers,
Right,
behind you.
Yeah. So I tell people, it's just like driving a car, right? So did you see it? It just passed by. It's like driving a car. So in the 40s, 19, I don't know how to place it, somewhere around there, like probably like driving a car, you know what I mean? If they had somebody, a CV named Indira Patel. So if, they had a guy in the neighborhood called Patel who had a car, like, where you see Patel have a car, boy, where he could drive, that's amazing, right? Now everyone could drive, right? That's not a feat, right? In fact, some generations refuse to drive. They're like, that's like, they just Uber in all over the place. So similarly, being able to, again, use Google, use YouTube, Coursera, whatever it is, that is just basic, right? So the key is, do you know how to use technology to learn? And once you can do that, you're on the right track.
Yeah. Well, Rachel, you utilize a lot of technology in your business as well. Just tell us about that journey, because there are people who are probably watching thinking, it can be so overwhelming as well.
Yeah, of course. I think with technology is learning when to use it, right? So like, obviously we would have been an online store from 2009. 2009, the average person didn't have a credit card. They didn't have a personal computer. So we were using it right away, but we were in an environment that it didn't work at the time, right? So it's deciding when to use technology. Now, obviously, it's part of, it's part and parcel of everything we do. So customers now take it for granted. They will place an order 8 a.m. and be like 10:30. Where's my freshly picked organic, eggplants? And I'm just like, well, so sometimes when you integrate too much technology, your customers can take for granted, the actual work behind it, right? So
Yes.
Our communication is always about the process. It's always about what it takes to make this happen, right? So the timing of using technology is super important, and understanding who your audience is, right? If your audience is women between the ages of 60 to 80, WhatsApp is your technology, right? That's where you should probably be. I mean, and there's other ways to look at it, right? but it's when and how to use it. So technology is definitely something that can be an asset, but it can also hinder production, because again, the first 5 years of my business, instead of us maybe printing a form and going to persons at offices or things like that, we didn't do that, right? We were like, build it and they'll come, right? We were happy to service our little 50 customers at that stage. But I think technology is really what type of technology and when to use it and how to use it.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a question from Quinn. What has the journey been like figuring out the relevant technology for your online services?
So for me, it's been a challenge because so we will implement, e-commerce, and then a lot of the time after that is spent tweaking things to make the customer's life easier, but mostly to make our life easier so we don't have to answer so many customer questions. So it's the journey for us has been like, originally I would have been like, okay, here's the website, go ahead, enjoy it, and having to go back in and be like, and adjust things all the time to get it to really like to an optimum place. I'll give a really good example. We moved the shop. We have the shop location all over the place. Sometimes we will put between this street and that street on the thing, and still we get the calls. Where is the new location? Can you send me can you send it to me on WhatsApp? So the customer is not thinking about, now I have to save this person's number into my phone and then send them the location on WhatsApp, which is like a bunch of steps for me when I'm trying to like make a candle or something like that. So then so I created a Waze location and put it into our link in bio on Instagram. So now I can just direct people, go straight to the Instagram. You can just click it. The Waze is right there. But I know that I'm still going to get the calls about, and then how to show them where this is. So it's always a learning curve. There's always a learning curve, and it never ends, because at some point in time you realize you have to change the technology, upgrade the technology, and the process starts all over again. So for me, I just find that it's never done, but there's always a learning.
Right.
Yeah, and documenting that. So like FAQs, save lives. The reason people keep asking where you're located is because they're going to continuously ask you that question. Every new person that discovers their business is going to ask that initial question. So once you get those initial requests, like document the response, as Catherine says, replicate it on every platform that you could possibly put it on, and have it automated as a response on your chats. So save, every time Facebook asks you, should you save this response? Yes. It's a weird question, but save it, because more than likely somebody else is going to ask you that question.
And then also keeping in mind that the customer is not necessarily used to shopping local brands online. So that's a big thing. So they have different questions and different expectations from you as a local brand. So that's where it comes. They would never go on Amazon, make an order at 7 a.m. in the morning and expect it at 10:30. But Immortal Beauty right there on Picton Street. So I'm not understanding. And so my question is always, well, if you wanted it for 10:30, why didn't you just come down to the shop? No, they expected to make the order online and pick it up at 10:30. And that's a completely reasonable request to them. So there's also a lot of education you have to do. So sometimes you could put all the information in the FAQ, but you still have to have it on the Instagram. You still have to have it on the caption. You still have to have it multiple different locations for that message to actually get through.
Yes, and just for anyone listening, FAQ, frequently asked questions. Just if anyone's wondering what FAQ is.
I wasn't cursing at anyone.
Okay. So a question from my sister, Michelle Terry, calling in from London. So you're talking about having support.
Yeah.
The question, how do you stay motivated? Thanks, Mish.
Ooh, my customers. When they call and say, my son, like, really enjoyed your classes, or now he's like coding and doing this, or he just built this game, or when I get stuff like that, or I get the real like thank you so much, when I get that, like that is motivation. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that's why we didn't go Disney, like they don't even, but I mean, I'm just saying, it when you're having, so there was some time, I can't remember if it was pre-pandemic. Yeah, I think it was pre-pandemic. And I remember, and I was in this room, and I was here like just crying, and my husband was like, what going on with you? I'm like, I don't know if I should have done this. I'm like, and he's like, what are you? And then he gave me a pep talk, and I could really listen. So that was so important. So anytime, and then when I'm going through it, and then you get that call or you get a little text. So I would say, when you really understand the impact that you're having on people's lives, like that is what I mean, because that's why I did it. So that's what really, really keeps me going. And I just want to touch on one thing that because when Rachel was sharing about her partners, in different spheres, you are not everything to everybody, and so we cannot expect our partners or our friends to be everything to us. So for example, like before I came on this, I thought about sending this out my mom's group, right? My really close friends. I didn't share the link with them because they aren't entrepreneurs. They don't want to sit down and listen to me for an hour. You understand what I'm trying to say? No.
Yeah.
And my husband, when I started Smart Kids, he would, like, I would go out Saturdays. So we both worked at the same place. And on Saturdays, I would be gone. I'm not here. I'm just holding workshops and everything. And he was there with 2 young kids, which, let me tell you something, is not fun, even if it's yours. 2 young kids. When I came back, the house would be just a mess, right? And I'd be like, hey, like, thank you. Well, after I blow up about how messy the house is. But hey, thanks so much. He'd be like, thanks for what? They're my kids, So he like talk about support. However, when I would talk about Smart Kids, and I would say I just wouldn't get the response that I was expecting. And one day he was just like, listen, I just don't get it. He said, I don't get it. I don't really see how your business gonna make money. That's what he told me, right? That was one of the most hurtful things ever. Talking to it's one of the most hurtful things. And I had to realize it's okay. I mean, I think sometimes you want people. So he was supposed to pretend. You understand what I'm saying? But he did all the other things. He was there. He supported me in order for the business to thrive, right? So even though he didn't, he wasn't.
He wasn't validating you.
He wasn't validating the idea.
Yes.
But he was like, this is what you want to do. I'm going to help you do it. But I don't want to sit down and listen to every single, you understand? But I have people for that. I have a network for that, right? And I am in the mastermind group, and I have a coach, Georgina. I have my parents, right? Who, would listen to me for hours, would give me advice and so it's important that you understand who people are to you, right? And I want to say one last thing is that when it comes to choosing a partner in life, sometimes there's luck involved. I didn't know, you know what I mean? He was going to be all those things for me. Do you understand? I didn't know that. I mean, so I think a lot of it, apart from, choosing, a good, some of it is luck, because I have friends who weren't as lucky, because you don't know, because everybody grows differently. So I just wanted to say that as well.
Yeah, I'll echo that, Sarah. Like this morning when, I was leaving home and, we had 2 big events today. So we had WED, and then we've just kicked off our program with Republic Bank, supporting 100 women entrepreneurs to start our entrepreneurs business program. Huge milestone. I'm leaving home and Derek's like, bye. And I'm like, not like, good luck, like, see ya, bye. But when I'm working hard, he's making breakfast, he's going to work and leaving fruit.
You don't mention those fruit plates.
Come out the kitchen, You know, as I,
Catherine.
you know,
Don't mention those fruit plates. We would have
Sorry,
fallen.
Catherine. Sorry, Catherine.
I was saying, if you don't mention your fruit plates, you would have fall out.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm busy working in the kitchen, in working, and then I come out and he's cut up all the fruits for me and left them there for me. And then he's the one that cooks lunch on a Sunday. So as you said, you get support in different ways. And I tell you what, I prefer to have a husband who's acts of service because I don't do those things.
Yeah, I think
we should
staying
get into these
motivated is.
Yes.
I think staying motivated, though, you can't like, you think like this one thing is gonna keep you motivated, but like for me, it's just like every day is just like whatever makes me feel good. I just pay attention to that, because if I rely on the customer to keep me motivated, or I'm not saying you can't get the good days, but the days when they call and complain and say their plantain wasn't ripe enough. Like it's hard to like have this one thing to keep you motivated. So like for me, it's always I respond to the things that make me feel good. So if I wake up and that day it could be my business partner, it could be my customer, but whatever it is, you have to tap into the thing that is making you feel good in that moment and just appreciating it in that moment. But when you put all this responsibility on this area to keep you motivated, I find that it always loses momentum. You say it's gonna keep you going in that way, but you have to look at again all the value points around you that will keep adding value to your process.
And what I would just like to add, what I wanted to say, which is very like in line with what Rachel is saying, is that you also have to give yourself grace to not feel motivated sometimes. It's fine. It's okay. Not
like
all
you
of
wake
us.
up like John Travolta, like
Yes, can't
where's
all-
the motivation?
yes, ready to go every single day. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic. And if you push back against that, sometimes you're gonna stay in there for longer. Whereas sometimes if you lead into it and just be like, listen, I'm gonna eat all the KFC today, and I am just give these customers what they want, and then tomorrow is another day. You sometimes I find it I always come out of it. I'll just speak for myself. I always come out of it, and I can just be like, I can be here now, but I know it's temporary. I know there's an end to this. And
reminding yourself that it's temporary. Like I think we think like this one customer is it, and there's thousands of customers after, or
Yeah.
we hope so.
Okay, we have a question.
Not a question.
Comment, sorry, from Krista. Hi, Krista.
Hi, Krista.
I just want to say a huge big up to Catherine Immortal Beauty.
yes,
Of Immortal Body Butter. Oh, that. And I'm in love. Thank you, Catherine. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Motivation.
Motivation.
Yes. Okay, so we haven't touched self-care. Boy, this conversation is just going. I just wanted to ask you. I know I've talked to. In fact, I like Sarah's take on how do you take care of yourself? What does self-care mean to you, Sarah? She's very inspiring. Let me tell you.
Okay, so first of all, when I hear self-care, I think like you do your nails and get facials, and I'm not a girly girl, so I'm not, what I mean. So self-care does not involve that for me, with one exception, and that's my Immortal Beauty foot scrub. I'm being honest, that's like a no lie, for real, because like if anybody, my feet in a mess, so it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. Anyways, so so for self-care for me really is it's about finding balance, right? So I think a lot of times, and just allow me to explain this, a lot of times when people talk about like work-life balance, they're not talking about work-life balance. They're talking about boundaries, right? They're talking about boundaries. Boundaries is different. So boundaries is like, I work from 7 to 5 and I cut off at 5. Like I sign off at 5, and you shouldn't be asking me to work beyond 5, right? That's boundaries. So you are stating, what your boundaries are. And a lot of employees feel, that's the new way, about setting right boundaries. Most entrepreneurs aren't like that, right? I mean, Rachel would tell you about, let's say she mentioned like the first 5 years of your business, which is probably different to the rest. First 5 years, you'll eat, sleep, breathe. You know what I mean? When Rachel was talking about her business, it's almost like it's her baby. You know what I mean? It's like her baby, right? And so it is right. So your business, I will get ideas about my business.
Well, it's my teenager, annoying teenager right now. But yes.
Yeah, your business is like everything. But the thing is that I have kids, and so I would be like, you know, a lot of times I'd be like, hey, mommy's working now. For example, let's say during the pandemic, there's homeschool and everything, and I'd have these meetings, and I'd be like, mommy's working, not now, because that's just how I'm really into. And I realized, wow, that's like all of my interaction with them. And so when I'm ready to talk to them, I was like, yeah, what you want to talk about? They're like, I can't remember. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try something different. And so self-care for me means actually now saying to the business person I'm talking to, hold, give me a second. Anytime they come, give me a second. Which is, let me tell you, it's really hard because my 7-year-old would be like, mom, mom, yes. I was thinking, that, yes, right. So that's, you have to like wait, right? So, but I give them that now, because that is our interaction. Do you understand? So so it's about prioritizing and finding balance, because I'm not gonna change. You know what I mean? I love working. I'm not gonna change that, but I can change. You know, so I'm not gonna change not having the boundaries, but I can make sure that I give the rest of my family the attention that they deserve. And when I say that, I'm not perfect, right? I mean, like, but that's what I'm working on when it comes to self-care. Because actually, if at the end of it, I have smart kids and I don't know my own kids, like, what's the point, right?
Yes. Okay, so Catherine, what does self-care mean to you? I mean,
not say
obviously
about
using your
self-care.
products too, because everybody's been touting. It's been saving marriages. It's been saving lives.
Saving Sarah's
My husband, y'all.
Saved mine too.
I mean, well, because of the business I'm in, I have like a whole like long list. I saw this wonderful list on Twitter of different self-care activities for each of the different love languages, for acts of service, things that you could do. So sometimes it's as quote unquote, I'd like to use this word because I don't think these things are superficial, but as superficial as going for a massage or taking a scrub. But I need to go to therapy every 2 weeks to keep myself balanced. Otherwise, things go crazy. I get crazy. So that's another thing that I do for self-care. I journal. I try to do it in the morning. I list gratitudes. Sometimes I meditate. I'm not too good at it. Lately, I've been trying to make time to spend time at home in the morning before I start with my dog, running around, letting her bark at me. So it's like I have a variety of things that I call on because I need a lot of balance, apparently. But I have like an arsenal.
I think, well, self-care for me first starts with like diet, because I find when I eat good food, I'm not just trying to plug market movers, but I find when I eat good things, I don't feel like lazy. So I have the energy to actually like do work. Self-care is also for me like telling persons. So I mean, our team is like, and this idea and this could be cool, but also like saying like, I need to do the actual work right now, and I need to do the work. Because for me, like doing the work is like, I feel so good when I like say this is something that I think my customers want, and they respond to it and they buy it, and then they say it makes them feel so much better. So that protecting that workspace, and I know people don't think work is self-care, but for me, it's like when I do productive work, it feels worth it. It's not just busy work. Like I hate busy work. I hate feeling like you're just talking about work and yeah, this would be cool and that would be cool. I love to see real things applied in a meaningful way. Like, I don't like to waste time on something if it's not going to actually be an outcome um, to something productive. So diets, of course, that. And then, like, I know it's gonna sound real corny, but like doing stuff for other people who are not like in the business. So like every time I do something for like a family member or my husband, like it feels like he's like, you know, responsive and happier. And I find seeing other people feel happy where it's not like work related, and I feel like my work life bleeds into all these things. So when something is rewarding outside of work, I find those things are my self-care, that it's something that's not a market movers. Like, I swear if one more person calls me market movers, I might lose it. But but it's like, oh, Rachel made me feel good in this way today, or you know. And I think your personal identity and being recognized as a person and not just your business is a huge part of my self-care. That somebody says, oh, Rachel did this. And these talks, I like, people are like, are you getting paid for these things? And I'm like, no. But at the same time, it feels good, like just like hearing Sarah say that, or just being able to have this conversation where it's you know, you're adding value on a personal level. I think that for me is definitely part of my self-care. And of course, I mean, a good massage for sure.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sure. All right. So one of the things, you know, we've talked about, you know, we've shared along this journey that entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted, right? You know, we come in with these great big dreams of the vision we want to have and all this free time we're going to have when we start our businesses, which we know that doesn't really happen, or at least not in the early years. But just want to just ask a question. What has been one of your sort of darkest moments on the entrepreneurial journey, and how did you push through it?
Yesterday. I think darkest moments for me is just like where I feel like all the work I did didn't surmount, like it didn't make something, it didn't create something meaningful. So I think not being able to move in table was a really like sad point in my career, because it's this part of my business where our business, I need to start in our our bedroom. Yeah. It's like it didn't necessarily make money, and or it didn't necessarily be productive, but it was this thing that like I felt so happy doing. I loved that part of the business, like serving people food and eating and you know, spending time in that way. But I think when I couldn't do that anymore, being an online business, you're so disconnected from your customer, right? You know, you just get message after message after email after how to respond to this and how to do this. And it's like, you know, that connectivity can feel disconnected, like you're not really face to face. So not being able to do moving table and having that interaction. But I will say, having a store, it's like super weird when people come in physically. I like Catherine came by the other day randomly when we were like now launching, and it was like, you know, this feeling of like, oh, this reconnection. And I think whenever you lose a moment in your business, you have to find a way to channel it back. And it may not be the way that you wanted. I can't do moving table, but now with the store, it's like it's like this glimmer of like, oh, real people. I can talk to somebody, you know, real, who likes what we're doing. So
thanks for sharing. Catherine or Sarah, you have anything to share?
So for me, I have one like proper dark moment in the business that I talk about, but then that I talk about often, and I'm going to talk about that one today. But what I'm going to talk about is the kind of like every so often dark moments that come up when I get really overwhelmed, and I'm just like, this just is the worst. Rachel said something just now that really resonated with me. Sometimes people don't see you as a person, they see you as a business. So the way that they approach you, the things that they ask you, there's no recognition that there's a human in here at all, right? Especially when you are a business who operates at a certain level and a certain high standard. And it seems as if there might be 6 or 7 or 12 people working in the business, and it's just 1.5 or maybe 2. So I can tend to feel very like bogged down and overwhelmed and just like, I'm doing all this hard work, but what happens for me at the end of the day? And how I push through that is I just kind of try to reframe it. And I tell myself, Catherine, 5 years ago, ain't nobody wanted this. Nobody wanted all this lotion to be calling you midnight asking you for lotion, right? These were the problems that you prayed for. You wanted these problems. What you wanted, these goals that you had, came with a certain set of problems. It was never going to be easy breezy, walk down the street every single day. And people are like, oh, that is Catherine. She's a full human who also runs a business. No, like that is the problem that comes with running a successful business at this standard that looks as if it operates in a way that it doesn't actually. And that's what you have worked for. So now you have a new problem and you can figure out how to deal with this problem. But to sit down and be like, oh, woe is me, this life is terrible, is just a waste. And so that's how I generally push through.
Great. Thanks, Catherine.
One of my darkest moments, or smart kids, whatever, was due to the pandemic. I had to make the decision to no longer rent the office that we had. We had an office space not far from here. And when we had to bring home all the equipment and put it in my garage, it was crappy on so many levels. I mean, to this day, Hayden would ask me, where's his shelves? I bought him shelves like a few Christmases ago. All I have now is just smart kid stuff, right? He's like, where are my shelves? Right. But I used to have his tools and stuff on it. Now it's just smart kid stuff, so it's like a reminder. It was like, and when I was like, wow, it's like evidence that I'm a failure. You know what I mean? Because you're seeing it home. Hayden's truck has to park outside. Right, it's parked outside. Anybody looking for a Hilux to, right? You know what I mean? Looking for some parts, anyway. But yeah. So because it can't fit in the garage, because all the STEM kits, that's where they are, right? And that's because of COVID. And so the question is, how did I overcome that? And it's actually answering. I think it's the first winner, Natacha. Help me out. The person who won the stuff at the beginning, the cool social media stuff, she asked a question about how do we overcome procrastination, and it's the same way that I overcame this thing, which is I'm accountable every month, right, to my mastermind group, right? So you have to say, hey, forget the emotions. What are the business? What is the implication? Is this a good decision financially? And yes, it's a real good decision. So emotionally, I feel like, oh, this is so crappy, right? Because I'm seeing it there. But financially, that was a boss move, right? You understand what I'm saying? So being accountable to someone, because as an entrepreneur, you may not have the luxury. And I know a lot of people grumble about their bosses, but the reason you have a boss is because somebody says, where that report that due tomorrow, you're on top of it, right? That's super important, right? What about your financials? Are those in order? Are you even tracking them, right? Listen, Georgina, every time I go to mastermind, Georgina will be like, and what about your financials? I'm like, yeah, I'll get to that. Like, what about next month? I'm like, I'm working on it. Right? You know what I mean? But eventually I got it in order. And it was hard to look at. Yeah. Right? But when you have your financials in order, it's easier to make decisions. And then I am profitable. The company itself, you know what I mean, is always profitable. Well, when I say overall, right? I mean, how my business goes, it fluctuates. But, we used to be losing money for years because I was not tracking my finances properly. So I kind of strayed a bit. But the point is that it's making sure that you have a system in place, right? to manage your business is what will help you to overcome whatever it is, because it might be, deciding whether renting that office space is a good decision, deciding whether opening a new branch is a business risk worth taking. Those things you have to wait out on paper, and it can't be, as Rachel said, you can't just look at it as what you want and as your baby, and objectively what kind of decision should you make, and that's what really I think keeps businesses like ours alive. And one last thing I just want to shout out, thank you, Rebecca. Rebecca said hi earlier, and I want to say, and Indira did mention that her child came to my workshop, my free workshop day.
And had a good time.
So awesome. Thanks for telling me that, Indira.
So, ladies, as we're getting ready to wrap up, what do you believe it takes to be a successful woman entrepreneur? For all the ladies out there, all the people that are watching you guys, what does it really take? What do you think? I want to hear from all three of you, actually.
I'll say, so grit, stick-to-itiveness, if that's a word, like, just not giving up. You can be down and be sad and have your ups and downs, but like, you pick yourself up and you get it done, right? And one thing that I've heard everybody say here is your network, your support, like that's what keeps you through. You need to have a system of support around you, and if you don't have one, you need to find one. And I have a number. I would have mentioned the people that I met at Tech Beach. There are people I meet with every month, Felicia Chang and Kellyanne Bethel, who I met at Tech Beach. Nobody told us to do that. You have to take the initiative, find people and stick with them and make things happen. And finally, that thing that I did mention this earlier, you see, mental health, which Catherine mentioned, like that is super important. And so for me, I use an app actually by Recess by Kellyanne Bethel. It's in beta testing now, so I'm very lucky. And that helps as well. So I would say those three things: grit, having your mental health in order, because you need that in order to have the grit, and your network.
So for me, I'm, I wish I could say something super inspirational, but what I want to say is a sense of humor. Like, I think the three people on the panel here today, actually, one of our strengths is that you could always turn it into something funny. You could always make it into a joke. You could always make it light. And that helps you go through the day, that helps you get through things instead of having everything always be so heavy, because there's going to be heavy and serious things, but there's also going to be some extremely ridiculous situations that happen. And when you can see it like that and approach it like that, I mean, in Mastermind, we do that too. So somebody will come in and they'll be giving their story and we'll make a joke or we'll laugh, whatever. It just lifts the whole mood and helps you, get into the space of problem solving. So I think sense of humor is super important.
Yeah, I think for sure. I was lost for like a second. And I think the whole woman entrepreneurship, I struggled with that for a long time, because I think I never really used to see myself as like a female entrepreneur. I was like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. And I think acknowledging yourself as a woman, acknowledging that you are a woman, acknowledging that you go through different things to a man. And I think I always wanted to be on par, well, better than David. I always wanted to be better. I always wanted to get it and win. I'm obsessed with winning, but but in a good way, in a fun way. But I think that acknowledgement, I learned that a little too late for myself. When I became, and I know I keep bringing it up because it's like this whole new experience. Like when people are like, you're somebody's wife, and nobody really tells you like that responsibility. And I know it's equal and all that jargon. But there is a responsibility with being a woman. One, there's a responsibility with being a female entrepreneur. And acknowledging it first is for me was the biggest step. It was this moment where I realized that I do have special abilities, or I have, shortcomings, or I have days when I have to deal with certain things that a man just doesn't have to deal with, right? So that acknowledgement was a huge leap forward for me in my journey. And it's so weird, like later on, you're just like, why couldn't I have gotten this at 25? And that acknowledgement definitely is something that took me to that next level. I think, keeping it light, trusting the process, and understanding that every time you put something out there, I swear to God, and I'm telling you, this is the truth. We put a links machine in an online store, and I'm just like, we're not doing no links. Like, why we need links? And it's like, everybody keeps, like, somebody swiped $25 for one pack of kurma, like a big thing of kurma. And I was like, I find every time you put something out there, people come to it. And I'm not saying put crap out there. I'm just saying, when you put something out there and you say, I want to help women feel better about themselves, or I want people to eat healthier, like literally every day somebody calls now and says, I'm struggling to eat better. I'm struggling to, deal with diabetes. I'm struggling to deal with all these issues. And it's like, oh, I have the answers. I have everything here. Your diet is a huge part of it. So I think put it out. Just put it out there. It doesn't need to be perfect, but whatever your meaning is, whatever your purpose is, just put it out there. I don't care how you do it. Mail a letter, post an email, post a Instagram story. I really don't care. But I will say that there's this responsibility that comes with it, of course. Now, every time I post something, people say, well, what about David? It's always you on these talks and stuff like that. I'm like, David could talk if he wants. Like, he could put himself out there, but he doesn't, because he doesn't really like that, right? But they will never see that. They see it as, I'm a woman, I being pushy, or I being out, putting myself forward. But it's really true. If you put yourself out there, if you put your business out there, people will notice. It doesn't matter if it's 10 people. If 10 people are willing to pay $10,000, that's $100,000, right? So it doesn't matter about this having this huge audience. We have a core group of customers that support us every week, and they believe in what we're doing, and that's okay. I don't need a million. I don't want a million customers to come knocking on my door tomorrow, So I think definitely acknowledging your unique disposition in your business and what's unique about you specifically as a woman, as an entrepreneur, what you're offering, trusting that process, and then definitely just sharing it. Just keep sharing it.
Well said.
Thank you so much. And what you've kind of sharing, I suppose, has come through is around being of service. That's what we're about in having a business, being of service and making sure that we're doing our best from our heart. And that enables the business to grow, and also our customers to get what they desire and deserve.
But I really also want to be in this mastermind group. Like, what is happening in this mastermind group?
It's the mastermind group. Rachel, you can join masterminds.
Why am I not in this group?
So I really want to thank all of you for being part of WEDTT 2021. One of the ideas when putting our events together was getting to a situation where we could have real women, everyday women who could be inspiration to other women as whether they're in business or not in business, because I think the things we've talked about here are a mixture of both. And I really want to thank you all for just being so real, showing the whole picture, and not just the polished ones of what it's like to be an entrepreneur in the 21st century, and supporting. You can have laughs, you can have cries, but you just keep going, you just keep pressing on. So I really want to thank you. I really want to thank Natacha for being here with us today.
I thoroughly enjoyed you guys so much. I am totally inspired, and it just is the energy. You guys have a lot of energy that is going to push you through and get it done, and I wish you guys every single success. And for all of you watching and being inspired by these three trailblazers, I hope that you guys also, keep with your vision and your sense of purpose, but also, like you guys said, having a sense of community spirit and a sense of connection with others. I think that's really important.
Okay, so thank you so much, ladies. And we're going to, and also really thanks for everyone who's listening and watching. Thank you for Michelle, my sister, for being here. So let's give her a shout out.
Hey, Michelle.
And so we're gonna have a giveaway now. So we're gonna hand you back over to Abiel. Thank you.
They do not giveaway.
Hi, ladies. So I am going to ask you all to help me with this. So I can speed this one a little bit, speed this up a little bit. So I have the list of registrants. So I will ask you each to pick a number between, well, Rachel first, pick a number between 1 and 100 and 1 and 169.
14. I like 14.
14. Number 14 is Linda. What's that? Marie. Number 14 is Linda Innes. So if you are here, yay! If you are not, I will email you after. That's okay. All right. And Sarah, can you pick a number between 1 and 169?
32.
32 is Marsha Cider. Yay, congratulations, Marsha. Thank you to my team, the support team. Or just so to shout out, Michelle said it's midnight in UK and it's worth staying up. So thank you. She said thank you. Catherine.
Marsha is a kids customer.
Yeah, she's also. Marsha's a smart kids customer. Yeah, smart.
Yay.
Catherine, number between 1 and 169.
I don't know if this is like an order of registration thing, but somebody has to represent for like the last minute people. So I'm going to pick 147.
147 is Talia Austin. Yay! Thank you. All right, and this is our 7th year. So the 7th person to register won Georgina's book, The Amazing Race to Entrepreneurial Freedom. And the 7th person to register is Amy Naidu. Yes.
Amazing book, Amy.
And also the 7th person to introduce themselves on YouTube is Miss Indira Patel. And the 7th person to introduce themselves on Facebook, Jenny Smart. Let me just tell you what you're wanting, and you're sorted order. So there's a gift certificate from the Punchline, gift voucher from the Zuri Nails, gift certificate from Lisa Beckles Consulting, a wellness package from the Fashion Art. She would see her commenting a lot in the comments. She has been live this entire session. And I'm just going to do 2 spinny wheels, 3 spinny wheels. I will take your off. And Betty roll. If you're here, yay. Okay, another spinny wheel. Hold on a second. Michelle Beckles, yay! And there's 2 more. Oh, Michelle. Thank you. So I am just going to ask Georgina and Natacha to pick a number each between themselves.
You go first, Tash.
27.
That's because that's how old you are.
What?
Is that how old you are? 27.
Yeah.
And 10. That's 10th of February. That's my birthday. If anyone knows me, it's 10th of February. Everyone should know.
27 and 10.
The 10 is Sonia's case.
What?
And the 27 is... Oh, I know. Who has been commenting? Okay, and that is it for our giveaways.
Thank you, Abby.
I am going to hand you back over to Georgina, who will share the action challenge with you, and then back over to me again.
Okay, so as I said when we came in, that any event that BPD does, that we love to give you great knowledge, and you heard from Catherine and Sarah and Rachel. But that's just one part, just listening. You know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to either enhance your self-care, enhance your entrepreneurial journey to increase your success, or include digital technology into your business? So we'd love that if you could put into the chat, into the chat, what you intend to do. What one action are you going to take in either self-care, entrepreneurship, or digital technologies that you're going to take, having spent the last 2 hours roughly with us? Make this count. Don't just leave what you've learned or heard in these 2 hours. We really want you to take this and do something. Go and take it and plant it and make it grow. So it'd be great to hear, or put in the chat what you're actually going to do coming out of this session today. It really is about development, not just listening. Listening is great. And Abiel shared earlier, you know, one of our favorite quotes of Napoleon Hill: whatever the mind of man can see and believe, achieve, well, I'm mixing it all up. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, he will achieve, or she. But there's another part in the book, Think and Grow Rich, is that it's knowledge. People say knowledge is power, but in the book, Think and Grow Rich, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. And it's when you put action behind that knowledge is when it actually becomes power. So what we want you to do today is become powerful by putting the knowledge and taking an action from the knowledge you've heard tonight. So it'd be lovely if you could put in the chat what you're actually going to do to take yourselves forward in either of those 3 areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, so as you all know, we're celebrating Women Entrepreneurship Day. And part of Women Entrepreneurship Day is around really looking to support the increase of women's economic empowerment. A lot of times, you know, we talk about the gender disparity, etc. But in the figures I mentioned earlier, you know, we have the biggest spending power as women entrepreneurs, or as women in general. So how do we take back that power? A lot of times we listen in the media about we don't have the power, it's taken away. But actually, we are giving away our power in the sense that we can fuel women-owned businesses if we start purchasing from each other. If we're the biggest consumers and the male businesses are growing and we are the biggest consumers, then who is making those businesses get bigger? So let's not wait for someone to give us our power. Let's take it back, because we're the ones actually giving it away. So one of the ways you can do that to support women economic empowerment is to start to purchase from a woman-owned business. And you're not doing it just for a favor. As you can see, we've had 3 women entrepreneurs here who have great business ideas and businesses that you can start purchasing from women. When you're doing your deciding what you're going to do, what you want, decide on a women-owned business. And how can you know where women-owned businesses are? Well, we created a directory called the Women-Owned Businesses Directory about 3 years ago, and we've recently just revamped it. And now we've expanded it. It started just in Trinidad and Tobago. Now we've expanded it to the Caribbean, so you can go and browse that directory and start making purchases, start looking for businesses on the directory. And as a women entrepreneur, you can register your business on the directory for free, because we really like to support women entrepreneurs. And one of the things we've seen with our clients and women entrepreneurs in general is being able to give you other distribution points or other marketing points to grow your business. If you join our directory, you'll be promoted to over 3,000 businesses, 3,000 contacts every month. So we just want to show you a little video about the directory so you can know more about it. Thanks, Abiel.
Okay, sorry, I got a little excited there. So log on to www.womenownedbusinessesdirectory.com. Sign up now for free, join now for free. If you have any questions, please contact us. So in closing, what an evening, what an event this has been. Such meaningful conversations and testimonies. The chat comments, the chat box on both platforms have been millennial term lit, I would say. I love it. So on behalf of the WEDTT ambassador, Georgina Terry, and my fellow team members, Anika Leanne Niels, Lifa Maureen, Jabari Manmohan, and Michael Bourne, I have the honor and privilege of presenting the vote of thanks and bringing this phenomenal event to a close. The insights and experiences shared today highlighted the importance of not only taking care of our businesses, but also taking care of ourselves, the women behind the business, remembering that we are the most valuable asset to our business. This event could not have been achieved without the support of our team and other generous contributors. I would therefore like to first offer our deepest gratitude to our event sponsor, the Inter-American Development Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. A sincere thank you to all our in-kind sponsors, Media Insights, Flowers by G, Sydney Joseph Social Media Management, the Fashion Arch Lifestyle, The Punchline, Missouri Nails, Edcom Educators, La Red Graphic Studios, Lisa Beckles Consulting, Trinitica, and Cottage Accessories. A special thank you to three of our women entrepreneurs, Catherine Mills, Rachel Rennie, and Sarah Bernard, for sharing their invaluable time and entrepreneurial journeys with us. Another special thank you to our co-host, Natacha Jones, for steering this journey with us. Our heartfelt thanks to our technology, video, and audio support team, Kieran McDowell from the Heroes Foundation, Nadia Tangner, Jonathan Thomas, and Mackenzie Smith. To our special invited guests, the Inter-American Developmental Bank team, the Caribbean Development Bank team, and the head of Group Branding and Communications of Guardian Group, thank you for attending. Last but not least, a sincere thank you to all of you, our attendees. You could be anywhere doing anything, but you took the time to join us today, and for that we are extremely grateful. So until WEDTT 2022, we say, stay safe and healthy, have a great evening, and live your passion.
Thank you for joining us at this year's WEDTT Trinidad and Tobago event. It was our pleasure to have you. For more information on how we at BPD can further support you, visit us at www.bpdassociates.com or find BPD Associates Limited on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. You can also email us at info@bpdassociates.com or call us at 1-868-282-3165. Remember Napoleon Hill's words: whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Stay safe and healthy and live your passion.